Well, Stacy, thank you so much for joining us on the Zoom to do a review of the law firm. Um, let's start with this. Just tell us a little bit in your own words about your experience with Butler Kahn.
Oh my gosh, wow. How much time do we have? So my experience with Butler Kahn really changed my life. Um, coming to Butler Kahn, well, coming to Butler Kahn with the incident of losing my mom was already a life-changing event. But the hands-on, the hands-on attention that the attorneys gave, like Tom was always so very attentive. Tom answered the phone. Tom responded to text messages. Tom always went the extra mile to keep us abreast of what was going on. Or if because I was a little consumed and I was always on the court website, or I would call him and say, "Hey, Tom, such and such," and then he would immediately follow up and be able to confirm it for me. But one thing that really, 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 really touched my heart about Butler Kahn is in 2022, I was diagnosed with uterine cancer. And I just reached out because I kept hearing all of this stuff online about hair relaxers and stuff like that. And about a week and a half later, I get a knock on the door, and I get this big package. And I'm like, where did I get this package? What's going on? Who sent me this package? And it just touched my heart so much. Butler Kahn sent me chicken soup for the soul, and it had a really good card with it and a blanket, and that really, really touched my heart. So that just goes to show you the level of interaction. Working with Butler Kahn isn't like working, with a law firm. It's like working with a family because I miss you guys. you know, I, I do. I do. My experience, once again, coming into the firm, it was a life changer because I lost my mom, and how bad that was, which no amount of money could ever bring my mom back. But having the experience of working hand in hand with Tom, worked with you, got to meet you, and and then coming to trial and the whole office showing up. I mean, you guys were out there in force. I'm like, wow, look at this. But then the way that you guys put you told the way you told my mom's story re-inspired me. So it's not just about, well, yes, it was all about Minor versus Cherry. It was all about the representation of my mom. But you guys told her story and you did an amazing job. And I am forever grateful because my life has changed again. I was re-inspired by the story that you guys told, because I always knew my mother as mama, and then you guys presented her as for the woman that she was. And something that's always going to stick in my head is my little sister, because I wasn't prepared to be, in close proximity. I didn't know what to expect for trial with Nakia Cherry. And, my little sister, Ginger, took this situation very hard, and she was very stern, like this that. And so we were in the hallway, and she came out the bathroom, and I noticed she turned around and went back right into the bathroom. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm just standing there. I'm like, okay, 1 minute goes by, 2 minutes go by, 3 minutes go by, and I go into the bathroom, and she got her arms around Nakia Cherry, consoling her. Nakia
Oh
Cherry
man.
is crying uncontrollably. And she was like, "Sister, can you help? Can you help?" And, So this is the type of atmosphere that Butler Kahn created for us, because it's always been the family touch to begin with, and so that's the experience that I've had.
Well, thank you for all that, and thank you for sharing that story about Ginger
Yeah,
and Miss Cherry
yeah.
in the bathroom. I knew
Hmm.
that y'all had embraced, and I knew that y'all had made up while we were like in the courtroom, I guess. But I did not know it happened like that. So that is really
Yeah,
cool. It's been
yeah,
an honor to
yeah.
represent the both of you. We'll obviously talk with your sister Ginger in a minute. Now, for those who
Yep.
don't know, defendant, the Nakia Cherry was the defendant, right? This is a car wreck case, and she's the one who collided with your mom, leading to
Hmm.
her death.
Yep.
Um, Talk with us. I'll do a little bit of asking you about kind of the process and the legal side of things, and then I really want to come back to my favorite part of your story, which is
Hmm.
the way it kind of ended. But um, we litigated this case for a long time,
Yeah.
3 years. How was that from your end? How
Well, so just so you know, like I said, okay, well, first and foremost, let me start by saying that it was hard to find a law firm to even take our case. And that was very disconcerting because my mom was killed, and
Yeah.
so, my sister and her husband, they were consumed with going through law firms, and everyone kept telling us no, kept telling us no. And I believe it was her husband, Patrick, that came across Butler Kahn. And so what happened is Ginger decided that she would deal with the criminal aspect and I would handle the civil. And we wind up speaking with Tom. And so when I wound up speaking with Tom, boy, Tom got things rolling. He found an estate attorney, and he arranged everything for me to come to Atlanta to go to court, to be over my mom's estate, which I had no idea. I knew nothing about that. So Tom facilitated that. And like I said, Tom was always a very hands on person. But, even to this day, because, I've been asking around, what happened is Butler Kahn, um, they were far reaching. You guys were far reaching. I've even spoke to an attorney that said that this is one of the most rarest extreme cases that he's ever heard of, whereas we were able to go above the policy limits. And I remember speaking with Tom because, like I said, Tom was always, answering my phone calls. And that means a lot. That means a lot when you're dealing with a law firm, that you have someone that's answering your calls, answering your questions. And, the fact that I said, well, Tom, there's something about this case that's going to blow your mind because we actually got a $25,000 settlement. It's not usual, even though, I know Allstate does act in bad faith on some occasions, but Tom was like, okay, and you guys kept hitting them with emotions and kept hitting them with emotions, and Tom would call and say, "We won, we won." So every time we would have a victory in court, Tom would let me know, "Hey, this is what happened. This is what happened." Now they're trying to file a motion to dismiss the settlement. He always kept me abreast of what was going on. And even though it was long, even though it was drawn out, because I've had a wrongful death case before. Um, my son,
Yeah.
so I'm familiar with it, but we never went to trial. But I think trial was for a reason because quite a few people's lives was changed. But
Yeah.
the whole experience, even with Melody's, like having to send the death certificate and having, I had to go to the bank and become overseer of her bank account. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff, but Tom and Melody both, walked me through those um do those assignments, do those tasks that I had to do. So it wasn't so hard on me.
Yeah. Well, I love hearing it, about the good work our folks were able to do for you.
Yeah,
Obviously, the case settled eventually for well over the limits,
yeah,
during trial while the jury was out, right? But like,
yeah,
we should explain, like, we'd argued the case, the judge gave them the law, and we are just waiting in the hall, and then Allstate finally calls, they get serious, and what do
yeah.
we settle for? What was our final number?
$10 million.
There you
$10
go.
million. And I'm going to tell you, I have talked to an attorney since then.
Uh-huh.
The attorney wants me to find out what is the sentence or what happened. What did you guys do? They want to know your strategy. Yeah, I told Tom. Tom actually read that to me today because, once again, it's not very rare that, the insurance companies will slip like that. But I've always believed in my heart that this was beyond that, that this is on a whole nother level, a spiritual level, and that this case would touch lives. And that's exactly what it did.
Well, tell me about that. Like, so at the end of this, we know Ginger and you and the defendant Jerry are hugging in the bathroom, but it goes even
Yeah.
further than that. What happened after the trial?
Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and be honest with you. So after the story that you guys put of my mom, like even and I didn't care for Andrew Curtright so much because he was the opposer, but it
Yeah,
really touched
that's
my
our
heart.
defense lawyer.
Yeah, the defense attorney, it really touched my heart when he came out and he literally had tears in his eyes. He was very emotional. And he was like, "Look, I just wanted to tell you that your mom really inspired me." He says, "It makes me wonder what I'm doing with my life." And he
Mhm.
was just going on for a minute. And so I always knew my mom for mama. I knew she had a prison ministry. I knew she went to the boys' home. I knew she was in church on Sundays. I knew she went to the nursing homes. But I just never really heard like so my mom had a heart of gold. And I said, look, if I could be half the woman that you guys portrayed my mother to be, then I'm winning. So, of course, uh, Mother Rosie sparked up in me. So I have been in contact with Nakia Cherry. Nakia Cherry has joined Clarkston First Baptist Church. She's gone
Yay!
every Sunday since the trial. She's going to be baptized. Both her and her two children will be baptized on November 5th. She started work today and she onboarded for another job at the Scottish Rite Children's Hospital in Sandy Springs.
Hooray!
And she's been
That's
on the
how
prayer
happy we
line and a study in the word.
So for those who don't know, the prayer line is something your mom started every Sunday, every weekday morning at
Every
7 a.m. People call in to pray together. And during the
Mhm.
trial, you somehow convinced the defendant that she should start calling in, which she has been doing. And you
Yes.
didn't say this, but you bought an Uber to take her and her
Oh,
family to your mama's
yeah.
church. And then she was
Both
welcomed at
Sundays.
the door by one of the people who testified for us about your mom at trial. And you just
Yes.
told me she'd be going every Sunday.
Yes.
It's
Teamwork.
great to know y'all. It's wonderful work, Miss Green.
Yeah. Yeah. Teamwork. So, at the end of the day, my mother's life, the way she lived her life is obvious. If people believe in heaven, that, that's the place where she's going. It's up to us to live our life and to make it there. And then also to be an inspiration and to reach out and give somebody a hand when they're down on their luck.
Preach on. Amen.
Yeah. Amen.